Well, welcome to the Tragedy to Triumph podcast with Dave Roever. I am Kim Chapin. I am Dave's daughter. I'm here with my awesome dad.
Yes,
Dave.
say it again. Awesome. I like that word.
You want to emphasize that, huh?
How you doing, Kim?
I'm good.
Well, it's good to be with you on this podcast. We have a lot of things shared. This is one of the most important podcasts I think we'll do. It's very, very apropos for what we're working toward and what we're seeing God already perform. I mean, this is a miraculous experience we're going to share today.
Yeah. I think what's really exciting about it is because it ties in legacy and it's like this past, present, future. It is a legacy of ministry that you and Mom built over decades, 50 plus years of full-time ministry, which ties into the right now, the place that we are in ministry, whether it is through Roever and Associates, it's through Roever Foundation, which is our veterans, our public schools, et cetera, first responders, and then REAP, which is Roever Educational Assistance Programs, all of those present day, but then pushes into what the future is going to look like as we go into the next 10, 20, 30 years, and how the impact of what we're doing right now, the impact of what people who are partnering with us right now, what the impact is going to be like in decades to come.
Yeah. It's important for people to realize that this is not about me. This is the Roever Educational Assistance Program, but we don't use that. We use the acronym REAP because REAP is more apropos than my name being in it. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Because we are reaping a harvest. REAP International is huge. It's worldwide. 500,000 students online. We are K through 12 schools in 48 countries and 14 or 15 now, whatever different languages. We're all over the world. The sun never sets on our programs.
Yeah, it's running 24/7.
Yeah, we're all over the world and growing every day. Mm-hmm. And we're in the most sensitive countries we will not even mention on this podcast. We won't even talk about them. Some we can talk about because they know we're there, but we have to be careful how we say it. And in fact, today we're going to talk about one of the most sensitive countries and yet one of the most wonderful countries on the earth I love so much. And it sounds crazy when I say this. I'll make some enemies when I say this, but I do love Vietnam. And I thank God that the Communist Party there has been kind to me. I've been good to them too. I established the first cardiac care center in that country with a cath lab. We installed a Toshiba digital imaging catheterization lab. We do heart stents, pacemaker, angiogram, angioplasty. We can do liver work on that table. And my doctors started out being trained by doctors out of UCLA. Now we're training their doctors, I guess. I had about 25 doctors, 100 nurses. I don't know how many. Numbers escape me now because we've been at it so long. But let me tell you. And that
started back in the 90s.
Yeah, started in the 90s. And by the year 2000, we had our operations going on that table, and we've been operating there ever since. Yeah. We've had thousands of people go through that cardiac care center at the Win Tri Hospital in Saigon. And we never charged people except the Communist Party. They had the money. We made them pay. But that's a long story, but I have to be careful there too. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say this, and I hope to God that people that are believers can understand what's behind this. We have to forgive those that have hurt us. We have to forgive ourselves for hurting other people and beg for their forgiveness. Until forgiveness reigns, then nothing can be healed. The last thing Jesus did on the cross was to forgive. The last thing he did was forgive. Father, forgive them. They don't even know what they've done. The most important thing we'll ever do is learn how to forgive. And I'm thinking about how to say this while I'm actually still speaking. I'm going to put it out there. I want to say thank you to the communist government in Vietnam who've been so kind to me. They've literally become friends in many cases. They have not harassed me. They've not made it difficult for me. And I know that people here, especially of our Vietnamese community that have been hurt so deeply, lost so much, find it hard for me to say those words and them appreciate it. But I'm not going to hold against anybody something that could be held against me in eternity. We forgive or we're not forgiven. And today, if I can say this to our Vietnamese community, I love you. If you don't believe it, come to my office and see the number of people that are Vietnamese employees here. Come see the relationship I have with the Vietnamese here in America. And I love them. They're the most precious people in the world, some of the most beautiful people I've ever known in my entire life.
Well, I think you said the key phrase is that forgiveness is key. Forgiving others, forgiving yourself. But look at what forgiveness does. It opens a door to a brand new path that would have never, if you had not forgiven, that path forward would have never opened up.
Right, exactly. Kim.
Right. And it's a very tangible way that it opened up. It opened up in healthcare first, right? You can't just come march in. You don't just march right in there and say, hey, we're going to just bring the love of Jesus, or we're going to open up and just flood this with, with our testimony. No, you start with tangible things that touch people's lives in a very, very, unobtrusive, but goodness gracious, their whole healthcare system was infused with this, and
well, let me tell you how true what you're saying is. When we start out in Vietnam, we start out compassion. Mm-hmm. I worked for Dr. Billy Graham for 9 years and shared board members for 20 years. And in the process of him mentoring me through those precious board members and through his own lifestyle, I learned more about how to deal with people than anybody's ever taught me. They taught me this: compassion leads to conversion. 4 incredible words strung together that are world changers. Compassion leads to conversion. You got to love people before you can heal them. Spiritually, you got to heal them physically. And until we learn how to love, I'll tell you what I learned from Dr. Graham. You'll never win a city you haven't wept over. Let me say it again. You will never win a city, make that a community or a people group or an organization. I love my military. That's why I'm so active with our military to this day, still working with our military. Why? Because I love them. How am I going to win them? By going to their need first, that is the most desperate in their lives. Compassion. How can you have compassion without the love of Christ?
Yeah. That's what he did. He healed.
That's right.
He went in and touched their bodies.
Yes, he did.
He changed things that nobody else could change for them. They didn't have a healthcare system back in those days. They couldn't just go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? When they were sick, it could be life-ending or life-altering.
Yeah.
And
it could be a small thing. You know, turn into a cold turns into pneumonia and they die. Well, here's the facts. We went straight to the heart of the matter. There was no working catheterization lab anywhere in the country of Vietnam. French had an effort. They made an effort. They tried, never did get their cath lab working. And the doctor was very, very famous that was behind it. They could not get that thing working. I didn't even know what a cath lab was.
Yeah.
I thought at first a calf lab. I thought they either worked on your leg or they were a veterinarian clinic. I don't know what calf. It's catheterization lab. I mean, this falls above my pay grade. But when God calls you, he doesn't call those that are equipped. He equips those he calls.
Yeah.
And he gave me an understanding enough how to raise the money, meet the right people, and build a future for the healthcare system in Vietnam. We put in millions and millions of dollars into the country of my near demise. Talk about Vietnamese people having to forgive Vietnamese people for what they did to each other. I'm not Vietnamese. I went to that country to fight for their freedom, and I was horribly damaged. You're looking at your scarred dad. That's all you've ever seen. You were born after I was injured. Yeah. Mutilation, damage done, and I was recipient of a Purple Heart because my injury's there. And for me to forgive that, I never considered it a challenge. I mean, people do to people what, God would never do to us what we do to each other. We even teach the devil how to hurt people. And so forgiving, which just it was not an insurmountable mountain for me to climb.
Well, you had a veteran approach you one time who was quite angry with what you have done in Vietnam in the way of bridging this, this new relationship with the communist government and through healthcare as well as with education. And he used some profanity, which we won't use today. But
why not? I won't do that. I'm not even good at cursing because it wasn't part of my communication system. I've always felt like cursing was for ignorant people who don't know how to express themselves any other way. But he came up to me. Let me give you a little setting right quick. I was at a crusade that we had put together in Washington State. We're in a huge indoor field house, they call it, where they play basketball, seated thousands, probably 10, 12,000 people, because we use the floor space too. And it was at one of the universities there. And in comes this Vietnam veteran. After I got through speaking, and we did a love offering, they call it, but I dedicated that love offering to this cause that we were putting this program together in Vietnam, and I needed support to get it finished, and that the offering was not for the crusade. We'd already covered the cost of the crusade. Mm-hmm. Now, this gift they were going to give that night was to go to the people in Vietnam to finish up the project for our healthcare system we were putting together there. This Vietnam veteran walks up, he's got his little headband on, and he thinks he's Rambo, and he comes up to me, give me one effing good reason you help those GD people in Vietnam. Boy, it just ticked me off. Before I even knew what I'd done, I just blurted out, I'll give you 59,000 good reasons. He looked at me and blinked. I said, one for every dead GI that nobody will ever get any credit for what that boy did if we don't do something for him now that turns his death sacrifice into a purpose and a cause. 59,000 good reasons. Yeah. That has driven me. It has given me cause when I wouldn't have a cause. At times I'd get so discouraged, and I think nobody's going to help me do this. Nobody cares about what I'm doing over there. I'm just one Vietnam veteran who's trying to help the people that the M16 couldn't accomplish. Maybe the John 3:16 can. Mm-hmm. So I was going after it, Kimmy.
Yeah.
You remember those days. You were just a baby growing up, and here you are today still fighting with me for a cause. And you go to Vietnam with me. You've seen what I'm doing there.
I have. And it's, for me to go, it just steals my heart. And I can't help but cry. You get around these little ones who just walk up to you and they have this look on their face of, just because we're Americans, right? They just, and we look different than they do. They just come up and their expressions are just beautiful.
And we got pictures in a minute. We'll show them as you prepare those.
Yeah.
I would like for people to understand this though, that REAP Worldwide, REAP International, our program, was established a long time ago.
Right.
Originally,
it's run parallel with your ministry since the 90s.
Not day one, I guess. Anyway, day two we'll call it. But Roever Educational Assistance Programs, like I say, is now, we just go with the acronym because it's so apropos. REAP, we're reaping where we have sown for so many years. Yeah. And REAP was originally set up for work with public schools and for our military that are non-religious because they can't officially work with a religious organization. But REAP International, REAP Worldwide, is not a religious 501c3. It's non-religious, but it is a service program for our public schools where I go and speak to over 8 million students in my career. But REAP International became worldwide, and it became such a huge, when I say 500,000 students, I am underestimating our actual numbers. When I say we have in Vietnam alone 280,000 students, that is an underestimation.
Well, and there's several branches of REAP when you kind of open it up and start to peel back the layers, because we've got our K through 12 schools, and these are brick and mortar schools in Vietnam.
Yes.
South Vietnam, North Vietnam, throughout the country. These are where students are actually, they're driven to school, they're let out, they come in, they spend all day, and then they go home. As soon as they walk in the door, there is a sign that says, only English spoken here.
That's right.
And the minute those kids walk in the door, they do not speak Vietnamese anymore. They speak English because the teachers there are speaking English. We actually have American teachers who are on staff in those schools today.
And it's almost a requirement by the government because they want English as a second language, and they do not want English with a Vietnamese accent.
Yeah.
They want English in English accent, I guess is the best way to say that.
Well, it's remarkable because I peeked my head into one of the kindergarten classes when we were there, and they all turn around and the teacher says, tell Miss Kim good morning. So they all turn around and they look at me. They're like, good morning, Miss Kim. Welcome to our class. I was floored. These are little ones. They're kindergartners, and they're 4
and 5 years old. This is 3-year-olds.
English, and so those are in our Newman Academy schools there. And but then there's also Global REAP, which then kind of encompasses a lot of Bible school training online of just the Christian life and going through the steps of basic Christian teaching.
Right.
And then we also have prison ministries. It blows my mind what all REAP is doing right now. It is one of the most exciting branches of what
Roever and Associates.
Roever and Associates is all about, absolutely. But so I've got some photos up here I was going to share.
Yeah.
This was our trip in August when we were, this is in Saigon, which is also Ho Chi Minh City. It's the same location. Just Saigon was the name of the town prior to the fall. Right. And then it was renamed Ho Chi Minh City. But everybody there knows it as Saigon.
Yeah.
So, but this was one of the days where we were visiting our academies in-house, and just the kids were, this is the most precious.
This is just a few months ago. That's just one little classroom at our Newman Academy. That's our number 2 school. Our number 1 school is probably 3 times larger, but that's just one class there.
Yeah.
And isn't that a beautiful thing to see?
Yeah. So exciting.
Any other pictures you have there?
I do. But these pictures, so this next one, this was actually at our opening ceremony, which we had thousands of students and parents attending this evening. It was almost a black tie event, very dressy, very fun. And the students put on a full display of singing in English, doing all their presentations in English.
And listen, and not just singing, but singing worship songs.
Right.
Every song was about worshiping Jesus.
Yeah.
And we're going to lead to some on that in just a minute if you continue with pictures. I think you will. I know that people that are not seeing this because they're driving, as I say, across northern part of New Mexico at 2 o'clock in the morning in a big 18-wheeler. Hey, buddy, when you get home and you get a chance, look on YouTube under Tragedy of Triumph channel with Dave Roever, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
These pictures are very valuable to people watching. Go ahead, Kimmy. I just didn't want to interrupt with that.
The next one that we're going to, again, we have a lot of students surrounding you, but these are a very, very special group of students who are brand new to our REAP curriculum and our Newman schools, because these children are not classified as, kind of a private school, student body. These kids are in the Buddhist temple. So we are in a town very close to Saigon, and we were there by invitation because they are interested in having our curriculum, English-speaking curriculum, K through 12, brought into the Buddhist temple. So tell us about that, Dad.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to, by introduction, unfortunately, I don't have him on the show today, but he'll be part of many of our podcasts that are yet to come. Dr. Dan Dang, D-A-N-G. And Dr. Dan, we call him, was 15 years old when I spoke in Vietnam in 1975, 74 and 75, before the fall. And the communists took the whole country at that point. But before that, I was speaking in Vietnam. I'd just gotten out of the hospital. I was doing tours with USAID, and I was a professional speaker for USAID back in those days in Vietnam. But I was sharing the gospel because it was still a free country. But when Saigon fell, he and his family had to leave. Long story, I'm not going to get into it in this episode, but he survived with his family at sea for 27 days, picked up by a ship out of Guam, U.S. Navy ship, ended up in America, 15 years old, had learned English. Well, he had told his father he was going to follow in my footsteps when he heard me speak. He had no idea what that meant. A few years later, he was a few years later in Omaha, Nebraska as an immigrant after being boat people out there for a long period of time and 27 days. I found him again in Fort Worth, Texas, when he was a big muckety-muck with Tandy Corporation.
Radio Shack.
And I walked in, he knew me, and I didn't know him because he was in a crowd of kids I was speaking to.
It was like 20 years later.
Yeah, it was 16 years. 16 years later. And Dan and I hooked up that day to be best friends for the rest of our lives. And so he picked up my vision for Vietnam, and I turned my whole program over, REAP International in Vietnam, to him because of being Vietnamese, having grown up there till he was 15. I knew the people, knew the language, knew the culture, knew everything about Vietnam that I didn't. And I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I am smart enough to know I'm not the smartest man in the world. So I get the smartest people in the world to come do what I'm not capable of doing. And so I turned it over to him. So he had a vision to take this thing to where it is today and far beyond, which included reaching every people group in Vietnam. The largest religious people group in Vietnam are Buddhists. And the Buddhist temples are everywhere. Every community has them. And several Buddhist monks came to see our celebration we were talking about a moment ago, downtown Saigon, which actually in a beautiful building that would work just as well in downtown Fort Worth or downtown Dallas or New York City. Well, not New York City, it's really fallen apart, but at least in Dallas, we're still together enough to host something that would be just as beautiful as you saw in Vietnam. Hundreds and hundreds of kids doing programs on stage to entertain their parents and new parents that are looking at come and bring their kids to Newman Academy. Well, during that time, God helped us grow this program, K through 12, with the help of Newman Academy and Dr. Sheba George, who's one of the most amazing women on the face of the earth, who's put together one of the best programs. And as we call it, we're educational brokers. Rather than us trying to create a new curriculum, we find the greatest and best curriculum in the world and utilize that. Then we go out and find the people to apply that curriculum to. And that's what we've done here. Well, these children have become so magnificently transformed, speaking perfect English without accents, doing and going into Vietnam with such a leapfrogged over all their friends, that the Buddhists, the government, everybody in Vietnam looks at our schools as the most elite in the country. Now we have a waiting list of hundreds of kids, thousands probably now, trying to get into our program. So we're opening new schools regularly. But these two Buddhist monks, or two or three were there, and came to us and said, would you bring your program into our temple? Now, that is not normal. In 2,500 years of Buddhist history out of the Philippines where it originated, no record of such a thing's ever been done. Because our curriculum, while we cannot and do not, and will not call it Christian schools in Vietnam, by law, we can't be that. But we are King James culture schools, and our King James culture textbook is a King James culture Bible. And that's acceptable. And I got to kudos to the Vietnamese government who allowed us to do that. Now the Buddhists are saying, your kids are so exceptional. Would you bring your exceptional program and make our kids exceptional?
Yeah.
So we have done that. We are now in Buddhist temples. They have taken out the idols and given us rooms where we are not influenced, and we're not there to influence their doctrine. They're not there to influence our doctrine. But our textbook is the King James Bible. And we're teaching children Jesus as the source of the learning of the King James culture. Yeah. And we have video. I don't know if we have that here.
I don't have that video right here. Yeah.
Well, we have video of children.
It'll be on our social media at some point. Yeah.
And by the way, since you bring that up, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. You're going to miss some of the most exciting stuff in world history. It's coming down right now. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, we're not on the cutting edge, Kim. We are the cutting edge in the world of religious indoctrination that is taking place. We're on the cutting edge. We are the cutting edge, reaching into that dark world of Buddhism, of any ism or schism or schism that's out there, with hope in Jesus Christ. But we can't get up and brag about the places we are because we would expose our teachers. I will expose one country, Nigeria, where our teachers and our kids are in desperate straits. And God bless President Trump for sending troops to help protect those Christians and our people over there. And as far as I'll go, we have other countries, but I'm not going to talk about it.
We are in some very sensitive countries, sensitive situations where, man, it would be amazing to share everything that God is doing. And we could, and we can to some degree, but we have to respect that. But
yes, you're bringing up a very important point, Kim. Our problem for support, I don't have to be supported. I take a salary, I give back most of it, and one day all of it. I've given it all before at other times. I'm not in it for money. I'm already taken care of. The government takes care of me because I'm a disabled, 100% permanently, totally unemployable, disabled Vietnam veteran drawing 100% disability. I'm retired. I'm 79 years old. I'm retired with my Social Security. I'm doing fine. You're not going to support me when you support this ministry. But if I were to be able to say what we do, people would be lined up to give. But I can't. I can't risk our people in these countries. Everything in me is wanting to say it, but if I did, I'd hurt somebody, and it's not worth it. All I can do is, if you want more information, and we can verify that you're not some plant, you call our ministry, And if you can convince us you're for real, we'll give you more information on it. But I can't risk it. It sounds too super sleuth. But Kim, today everything is at such a horrible extreme. Hate has become the theme of the world. If you don't believe with me, then I hate you. I don't hate. I love the Buddhist people. I love the Vietnamese people. I love the children of Vietnam. I love Vietnam, the country of my near demise. I have no enemies in my heart. I have no one I hate. Kimberly, I don't hate a living human on this building, in this world. And in this building that we have, that we're in right now, you find anything in this room that shows any kind of hatred, I'll remove it. We are not hate driven. We are driven by the love and the forgiveness that Jesus Christ has given to us. And that's why we're reaching into places nobody else wants to go. Years ago, Kimmy, you may have heard, I know you've heard me share it because there's nothing I've ever done you're not privy to probably. But I remember when I was in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, too long a story, I've already shared that, I think, where I met what I believe were angels on that side of that church that night with all those people out there that were wine. Skid Row, right beside that downtown church, People's Church in St. Paul. And I went to my room that night thinking, I was down there with all those people on Skid Row after I'd been with all those people on the other side of the wall, 3,000 Christian people that night. And the Lord said to me, which side of that wall would he have been ministering to? On the inside with all the believers, or on the outside with the unbelievers? And the answer to that is Jesus saying, I came not for the well, but for the sick. So I'm sitting in the room provided by those 3,000 who were showing me all the love they could. Gave me the best room, biggest hotel, the entire upper floor of the most posh hotel in town. I wouldn't even lay in the bed that night because I'd been out on that Skid Row seeing all those people hurting down there. I was sitting on the floor leaning up against the bed in that it had 3 bathrooms, 4 hotel rooms, all put together in one upper. And I was the only guy that could only sleep in one bed and use one toilet, so good grief. I'm sitting up there on the floor leaning against the bed, and I said, God, give me the garbage can ministries that nobody else wants. And I began to imagine, I can't say it was a vision. I'm not that holy. I don't know what a vision would really be. I don't think I've ever had a real vision. I have vision for things. That is to say, God gives me understanding or ideas or thoughts about what could be in the future. But I don't know how to describe this. Paul said, whether I was in the Spirit or out of the Spirit, I know not. All I can tell you is I had this incredible vision of me reaching into a garbage can like you do into a hat full of numbers, and you pull out a number and you're not supposed to look at it till you get it out and then call it. I don't know how you do that, but I reached in a garbage can full of ministries that nobody else wanted. You know what I pulled out? Public schools.
Yeah.
I pulled out again, military. Since then, I pulled one more out, and it's called prison ministries. Mm-hmm. And we're exploding all over this nation in this prison ministry that is taking over federal and state prisons. That's crazy. And I read that, and I started weeping. And I came back to my world of reality and realized, how do you support a ministry nobody else believes in or wants to even be part of? It's a garbage can ministry. The ministry nobody wanted and everybody's willing to throw away and forget because it's not popular. You've never, in all the years I've been on television ministering to multiplied millions of people worldwide, no one will ever find 1 inch of any kind of role on video or film or whatever they use, USB plugs they plug into like we use today. Mm-hmm. You'll never find one script of any kind on video of me saying, give here to this ministry and God will heal you. You'll never hear me say it because it was never part of my ministry scheme. My scheme is God's scheme. Love them to win them. Weep over them to have, if you don't have compassion, how can you have passion? And so I went back to the country, my near demise, and today God has opened for us. And you've been there to witness just a few months ago. I have. The work with a beautiful, beautiful monk. He's one of the most precious men I've ever met.
Sweetest spirit.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah. Well, the path that we have in Vietnam as well as in prisons and in education and in healthcare, all started from forgiveness. And we talked about in episode 4, Journey Back, where, over the years you've taken veterans back with you.
Right.
And, I've seen so much healing. But you said a phrase that I think is the hardest part of forgiveness, and that is when we forgive ourselves. That is the hardest part. I think there are veterans today that struggle with, they may be able to forgive the situation, forgive war, forgive those that have hurt them, but they can't forgive themselves for what they've done. And to be able to move into ministry and freedom and seeing what God could do to bridge the gap, you can't get there unless you forgive.
Kim, you segued into something that is the root DNA of my life, your life, the life of any believer, but especially in this podcast, in this throwing out to the public. I'm going to look in this camera eye to eye to people that need to hear me, especially among our military community. Until you forgive yourself, you can never forgive others. There's 3 people that are hard to forgive, 3 persons. 1, those that hurt you. It's hard to forgive those that sin against you. But Jesus taught his disciples in his prayer, teaching the disciples, forgive. Because if you don't, you're not forgiven. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us. Pardon me. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. That's a hard thing to do. So who's the other person that's hard to forgive? God. How do you forgive God? Wait, you're talking about the ultimate of all deities, the God of God, King of kings, Lord of lords. How do you forgive him? Well, ask that mom, that dad of a child lost through sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. How could God allow that child, that innocent, that perfect baby who's never sinned a second of its existence on this planet, how could God allow that baby to die? How do you forgive God for that one? How do you forgive God for the person that indiscriminately took your spouse's life, or the God who let you become sick whenever you're at the peak of your health? How do you forgive God for that? Well, the only way I've learned is to, number 1, trust instead of have to forgive. Trust him instead of forgiving him. Trust him. Because we live in the world of now, instantaneous gratification. I want it all, and I want it all now. That's the way we are. Well, let me tell you something. With God, you may want it because he'll give you the desire of your heart, and he'll give your heart the right desire to have desire for. Hope you followed that one. But the bottom line is, he's not interested in instantaneous gratification. We learn through suffering, which is one of the themes of my life. We learn through suffering. Who's the other person that's hard to forgive? Well, you know who that one is because you're the most acquainted with that person. That's that person in the mirror looking back at you. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, the man talking to you is not your best source for learning how to forgive himself. I struggle with it every day of my life. I don't look at myself and regret my history. Sometimes I regret my present. I look in the mirror and I got these spare parts. You don't see it now, but I've got a bag hanging out of me right now attached to my back that's draining fluid out of my spinal area. After major surgery, it's supposed to be about a 45 minute, ended up being between 4 and 5 hours. Surgery number 64. I've had every part of my body rebuilt in some way, and I've got no doubt more to come. I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see. I don't like the face that's looking at you on the screen right now, or the voice you hear driving across northern New Mexico in that 18-wheeler at 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't like the guy. I don't watch myself on TV. I don't listen to myself on these podcasts because I hate the sound of my voice. I don't like the looks of my image. But you know what? God called me to do something bigger. Bigger than me. And you see, if I can make it the least among us, dear God, if you think you're bad, you should know me. I have the least I have less faith, I have less knowledge, less wisdom than any of you hearing me, I'm sure. But if God can use me, He can use you. Don't give up on yourself. Forgive yourself. Put it behind you. If you have to do it every day of your life like I do, first thing in the morning is start out forgiving yourself. You start at 0 or below 0 in my case, but you end up at 100% every day. And I hope this turns what we're trying to do in this podcast into a real experience for you. Because this is not about me, my friend. This is about you. The only reason Dave, is in this picture is because God called me to share this with you. For your sake, not for my sake. My healing does come as I see people restored, renewed, redeemed, given a new hope, a new life, a new start. That's all great. It encourages me, but it's not for me. It's for you. And I hope to God that the suffering I've known in my life won't be squandered on me. I want to be squandered. I want it to be wasted on you. Yeah. That's what I'd like to see. If I'm healed, it won't be because I earned it. It'll be because I see you being healed, you being changed, you being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's where it starts. Oh, Lord, I got to shut up, Kim. I'm way too far down the road, and we're probably way out of time. But I wanted people to know that no matter what you're going through, I'm going through it right now. A lot of folks know that just a few days ago, I just was released from the hospital after 5 weeks. About 4 weeks. And I went through my surgery recovery, and then rehabilitation in the hospital, rehab. Turned out to be more than rehab. They probably saved my life during rehab by catching an infection that would have easily killed me. But you know what? 64 surgeries, shot, blown up by a hand grenade. I walk in the room, cats walk out with their tail up, angry because I got more lives than they do. Because greater is He who is in me than he that's in the world.
Amen. Amen.
Kimmy, you're a beautiful daughter. You are my reward. And we do miss your mama. We miss my wife, Brenda, so bad. I wish she was here to be part of this conversation.
Oh, I can only imagine what she would say.
She'd tell me, shut up, quit all that crying, blurbering, get out there and get your job done for Jesus. Anyway.
Well, if any of our listeners today want more information on what we do with REAP, you can go to our website. We do have a link that takes you to the REAP website, REAP International, as well as Global REAP. If you go to daveroever.org, DAVEROEVER.org, you can find us there. Also, take a minute to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, on our website, share our podcast. We're just trying to get the word out that we're here. We have new episodes that drop every week. And
let me tell you this right quick, folks. I think you'll like this. I'd never done a podcast. We never have done a podcast before, except January the 1st was our first. And being the first podcasters, influencers to our tiny little degree we may be starting out as, it has driven over 1,400% increase into our website, attendees or visitors, however that's, and people come visit us. That's the beginning of the influence that this podcast is having. 50,000, I think, viewing our first reel put out. And I still don't know the language. I've always done this for other people, but I've never done my own. But I'm learning with you, and I hope we can grow together. So subscribe is the right word?
Yep. Like, subscribe, and share.
All right, here we go. Subscribe, like, and share. SLS. Yeah, subscribe, like, and share. I have to do things I can't remember how to say it. I'm not pretending to be ignorant. I am ignorant. I don't have to play dumb. I am dumb. But this is so much fun. And I do feel that there are people whose lives are being transformed. And I'd love to hear from you. It's okay to text me or however you do it. It's not text, email.
You can email it. Yeah.
How do they get hold of us again? Let's go over that one more time.
They can go to the website and our
What's
phone
the
number.
website? How do you?
DaveReaver.org is our website, and you can reach us on the contact page there, or you can email info@DaveReaver.org.
Well, I'd love to hear from people. If you encourage me a little bit, well, I'll really do better. But thanks for watching, folks. It's been a huge joy to be with you today. Kimmy, wouldn't have a better host than you. God bless you, darling. I love you.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this podcast. We will catch you next time.